Welcome everybody to Drunk Dudes in a Gun Room. Hey, today I got Shannon Book. How you doing, man?
What's up, man? I'm good, man. But if I'll say this, if I were doing any better, it'd probably be illegal.
Absolutely. Hey, so tell everybody a little bit about yourself, man.
Well, I like long walks on the beach. Well, so
With Maker's Mark.
with Maker's Mark 46 and or, you know, anything made in Kentucky, which is bourbon. Um, uh, Everybody in Texas is like, oh, we make bourbon too. No, you don't. Um, I'm gonna get all kinds of grief for that. Anyway, so I'm originally from Kentucky. Um, a small town called Hazel Patch. Um, Played football, all that. I did all the weird stuff. I played football and I played, I ran track and all that stuff. And I was also in like choir and band and like I was a geek underneath a jock, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was a nerd. I was a nerd described as disguised as a jock. Um, and
I can
then
relate. I was a wide receiver that liked math. So
that's creepy. That's weird. Like it's really an angle. If you look at how obtuse this angle, you're like, no, you can't. Be like, dude, just run your 7 routes and shut up. But I started playing music on the saxophone in 5th grade. And that's where I got started in the music world. I got started as a kid. My grandpa was, he was an eclectic soul and he listened to all kinds of stuff. And Orson Welles and big band stuff were always something that he dug. And he also dug jazz. And he got me a cassette. When I got my first saxophone, he got me a cassette of Boots Randolph.
Okay.
Boots Randolph's greatest hits. If you've never heard it, you should go listen to it because it's probably one of the coolest things you'll ever listen to. If you ever heard a saxophone or you like the saxophone, I assure you great CD, cassette, 8 track, whatever you want to call it. And he said, once you learn how to play this whole cassette front and back, I will buy you your very own saxophone. I got to work.
Yeah.
That's what I did. So
How long did it take you?
I listen. So I quit playing saxophone for the school around 9th grade because I was just like, screw you. I'm having more fun playing, stuff that's on the radio. And, at that point, I'd trained my ear and I was getting pretty damn good. And it got to the point where my grandpa was like, all right, well, I'll buy you a saxophone. And I kept playing. I
Yeah.
kept playing until I was through high school. But like my bigger interests probably was like singing and learning how to play guitar. I didn't start learning how to play guitar until I was a junior.
My
So
my band career ended in eighth grade. I got kicked out of band. Well, I mean, so my girlfriend was really into the clarinet, and that's the instrument I played. And we went into the soundproof booth, which means you can't hear anybody coming either. So we got caught.
period.
Yeah. So we got caught making out in the booth.
Shocker.
Yeah.
Shocker. There was that. Don't tell me there. So there was this, and then I had a flute in my. Mm-mm.
No, no, no. She was first chair, and I was always, like whenever we did tryouts, he'd just look at me and he'd be like, "Do you want to try out, or you just want last chair?" And I'm like, "I'm good right here." You know, I sucked at the clarinet. So when we got caught, instantly I was the one that instigated it.
Oh, of course you
You
were.
know,
Of course you were. That's hilarious. That's good stuff right there. I kid you not. That's the kind of thing that people don't know about band. Like band geeks are creepy, man.
yeah. Oh
Band geeks
yeah.
are creepy. They're like, oh, they're just band geeks. Yeah, listen, you want to find some chick that's kinky. Find your girl in band. I
Yep.
assure you.
Once the doors close, man, she changes. Fucking Transformers. More than
More
meets
than
the
meets
eye.
the eye. Yeah, yeah. Facts. Absolutely. You are not wrong. You are not wrong. Wait a minute. Wait, what are you putting your hand there for? Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Well, that's creepy, but cool.
Don't stop.
Yeah, yeah. Don't. I'll give you 20 minutes to stop right now.
So let me ask you. So when did you decide to go into the military?
Man. So, wow. So I watched, I'm sure probably very close right around the same time as you. Like I watched Desert Storm happen on TV.
Yeah.
Desert Storm and Desert Shield.
Yep.
And I watched all that stuff. I mean, at that point we only had like 6 channels.
Yeah.
And I was and we were the remote. Go turn to channel 6.
Yep.
Go change the antenna. All right, fine. Um, but we watched Desert Storm and Desert Shield happen on TV. And at that point, like, and when I was younger, my grandfather, John Book, had a department. He had the very first department store in our little town. It was called John's Discount, and he had 2 of them. He had one in London, Kentucky, and he had one in Mount Vernon, Kentucky.
Mhm.
And like, first thing I ever realized about a chain, like, oh wow, we're like this is like we have a chain of stores.
Yeah.
Which is where I learned all my business, my grandfather. Um, but and my grandfather competed really well with Kmart when they came to town, but he didn't compete very well with Walmart
Yeah. Most
because
didn't.
nobody does,
Yep.
including Kmart. So, um, my grandfather, sold his store, and my grandfather was he was a sailor back
Okay.
during, World War II and all that stuff. And he great old man. Like dude, I miss that guy today. Like,
Yeah.
um, I haven't thought about him in a while. That's crazy. Anyway, um, he used to tell me, he's like, if you want to join the military, you should join the Navy. And I'm like, nobody wants to be a squid. But he was like, well, you can do gunner's mates, you can do all kinds of cool stuff and this, and that, and the other. And back when I was young, they were talking about these things called frogmen or UDTs, and I was like, oh yeah, that sounds kind of cool, you know. And I already knew that my dad had started another business, which was a struggling business at the time. So we were all struggling food wise, and like we're just kind of, you know, we had to grow and make our own, life.
Yep.
We raised our own farm, and we killed our own meat, and like that's, but when I was younger, we lived pretty high on the hog. When I was like 10, 11, 12, like we all lived pretty well until my grandpa's store started shutting down, and like at like 15. Anyway, we just started talking about the military. And then, he started talking about the military with me and about all his experiences. And, my aunt joined the Navy. My grandfather, my other grandfather, Philip Sargent, he was a soldier. Um, and so like I always talked about, you know, the armed forces with him, and all his days back in the day, back
Yeah.
in the KP and all that stuff. Like, you really have to peel all them potatoes. Well, if you do stupid shit, you get stupid prizes,
Yep.
you know? Um, that's back when you actually had to do stupid shit for stupid shit.
Yeah.
Um, Now you can get away with murder and just have to, I don't know what, paint a car or something, whatever.
Yeah. We've eliminated discipline and character.
Oh
Just
yeah.
Those two
Yeah.
things we don't need no more.
Yeah. No more discipline or character. You can kiss our ass anyway. But so so it got to the point to where we were talking about all that stuff, and then Desert Shield started to happen. And and this is in like 91.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh wow, this is real. This is serious. Granted, 91's happening, and then shortly thereafter was Kosovo and all this other stuff. And like I didn't Grenada and Kosovo and all this other stuff. Like I was watching all this stuff on TV, and then I was
Yeah.
like, man, like I'm gonna end up working at flipping Walmart for the rest of my life if I just stick around here.
Yep.
Because I'm not from old money.
Yeah.
Like, and there ain't like we don't play the political game here in this family. So,
Yep.
you know, I'm gonna end up working in Walmart. So I would rather just go experience the world. Um, and of course the recruiter was like, "Oh yeah, you can be a doctor," and I'm like, "That's cool. I want to be a doctor."
Yeah.
And then, well, my first recruiter was a Marine recruiter, and I did the SVAB screener and I did the PFT screener, and I walk into the gunny's office and he goes, "Hey, so what do you want to be, boy?" Meanwhile, he's spitting Copenhagen into his coffee cup, and
And still drinking coffee.
and still drinking coffee. Right, still drinking. Well, yeah, right, exactly. Like he had just finished the coffee, and then he's spitting in his cup, and then he'd spit out his Copenhagen and pour another cup of coffee.
Yep.
So yeah, like, and that's the shit that went on. And I was like, I want to be just like this man. Like that dude right there is cool. So he's like, "What do you want to be?" And I said, "Well, I had just cut my toes off 2 years prior to that, and I talked to a trauma surgeon that did all the work on my foot, and I was fascinated by surgery. And at that point, I wanted to be a doctor." And this freaking gunnery sergeant was like, "So what do you want to be, boy?" "Well, I want to be a doctor." He's like, "You don't want to be a sniper? You don't want to be a recon marine? You don't want to be a paratrooper? You don't want to be something cool like a cop?"
Something I can get credit for.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm like, "No, I want to be a doctor." He spits in his coffee cup again, sets it down. "Come on, boy." Walks me across the hall to the freaking Navy boot camp, or the Navy recruiter. And he looks at this second class boiler tech and he goes, "Hey, boats." Boats and mate, like, he goes, "Hey, boats." He goes, "This here young man wants to be a Fleet Marine Force Navy corpsman. Make it happen." And he was like, "All right, cool, sweet." And that was it, man. He goes, Where do you want to go to boot camp?" I'm like, "Where are my choices?" He goes, and this is back when Orlando and freaking San Diego were still available. He goes, "You want to go to Orlando?" And that was all girls. So I guess it wasn't Orlando. It was Orlando, or it wasn't Orlando. It was Illinois, Great Lakes, Illinois, or San Diego, California. And I was like, I want to go to San Diego.
It's warmer.
Because kiss my butt. So I went to San Diego, and that was it, man. I yeah, I never become a doctor, but I spent a few nights in a Holiday Inn Express once or six times.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you, man. I That's probably as good as I got because the closest I came was what the Army called combat lifesaver,
Oh yeah.
and I referred to myself as a combat life taker. Because if we've got to the point to where you're resulting to me,
Yeah, you need me to help you, you're
we're
screwed.
fucked.
Yeah, you need me to help you, you're fucked, pal. Well, and listen, I'll tell you, like I helped develop that program. Like Combat Lifesaver was a seriously intense program,
Yeah.
and TCCC, all that stuff. Like I helped develop all that.
Wow. Yeah.
Um, like it started before we went to war, and then we developed it. So when I got back, so I went to Nazaria. So I did OIF 1 and I did OIF 2. I went right back. I came home and was home for like 4 months and went right back to Fallujah. OIF 2.
Did some time there.
Yeah, yeah. I got some property on the river. I don't
Yeah.
remember exactly where it's at, but I'm pretty sure I'll find it. But I didn't pay much for it either. Um, but we came back from there and I went straight to a schoolhouse. I went straight to field med. Like I was gonna get out. There's some story there too, but like I went straight to field med and we started developing TCCC, and I was like, this looks oddly familiar. This looks weird. Like I may or may not have written up a freaking SOP for this shit.
Yeah.
You know, like me and my freaking training chief was like, oh yeah, I mean just write that shit up. That looks good. I like that. You should put that on paper. All right, cool. Long story short, we started developing that, and then freaking Field Med East and Field Med West started to develop it and build it, and
Yeah.
we used OEMS to kind of create freaking live tissue labs, and we did all kinds of crazy shit.
Yeah. And the lives that was saved because of it, you know,
Yep.
that was the one part of the war that continued to build, you know, up to that point, the amount of medics that had combat experience was slim, you know. A lot of
Yes.
the ones that had gotten out from after the Gulf Wars,
Right.
and the rest of the people was training.
Right.
And over the next 20 years, we built our medical skills off of war, you
Correct.
know. And
Right.
unlike the infantry and the scouts and the recons and all the guys that were fighting the war, man, the TCPs changed all the time. I mean, the
Absolutely.
enemy constantly adapted to what we were doing.
Absolutely.
So,
Like it was probably, listen, I'll tell you, like you look at doctrine, you go all the way back to doctrine from, I don't know, let's go back to doctrine from the Delaware, right? When they
mhm,
come across the Delaware. Like you don't have the president slash general on the bow of the boat anymore. Like we don't
nope,
do that. But that's kind of how we like to look at things, right?
yeah,
And that was probably some of the most bloodiest doctrine ever.
yeah,
And we were fighting the British, and the British were bringing hordes and hordes and hordes and hordes of ships over and whatever, taking colonists and all this other stuff. But then you move that to you know the Civil War, and the Civil War was the bloodiest war in America.
yeah, yeah,
We were killing our own. We were killing
yep,
each other, and I don't necessarily feel like we're too far away from that again. Um, but the doctrine again, like back then, like you start talking about medicine, like the doctrine was very simple. Like you get in a line, you have two gun lines. You got the front line, you got the rear line.
yeah,
Front line shot, then they knelt down to reload. The rear line shot, and then you just kept moving forward, and that's how
yep,
you did it. And but doctrine now versus then, like you got people who were like we're dropping refrigerators on people from freaking model airplanes and shit.
yep. We were
Like,
just talking about this in an interview yesterday, how you go back to literally the World War One, man, they were literally close enough to the enemy to shake hands.
yeah,
And then it got a little bit
yeah,
further apart in World War Two, and then Vietnam was we fought at a distance, and then we came together and
right,
fought, you know. And our current war was, you know, you barely seen the person, you know,
right,
you heard an explosion and you were firing 300 yards, 400 yards away from where the
right,
guy detonated the
correct,
IED, you know.
right, right,
And just like you said, you know, the A-10s and all the bombs that were being dropped and stuff.
yeah,
The war was a distance war, you know.
right. Well, not only that, so it's just like the Gulf War, like and no harm, no foul to anybody we're talking about. Like the Gulf War, God bless them all, because nobody likes MOP, level 4, and
Yeah.
that shit sucks. But
Yep.
um, but the Gulf War was 172 hours of air.
Yep.
Like there were plenty of people on the ground, but there wasn't nobody knocking on doors.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
like when they knocked on doors, they knocked on a door with a 200-pounder. Like, hey, just so you
Yep.
know, we're here.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
and so there wasn't a lot of tactical, or there wasn't a lot of human tactical information. The animals.
Yeah, we just moved. Literally, I just had the internet turned on yesterday, so we just got moved in. So
Oh
every
yeah.
time she hears a new noise and new
Oh yeah.
everything, she
Well,
goes
listen,
nuts.
that's just gonna make the podcast better.
Yep. I've
But
gotten
yeah,
good at editing.
I bet you have. I bet you have. But no, like so, but there wasn't a lot of human tactical situations. Like it was, you know, mechanical tactical. Like
Yeah.
it, and versus like now you want to talk about like Fallujah was stupid tactical because we were knocking door to door. Like we went door to
Yep.
door. We got to a point where we're like, you know what? Screw you guys. You guys are gonna start laying shit out on the freaking road. We're gonna come look for you.
Yep.
And no offense to you guys, but the 101st left freaking First Marine Division with a shit show
Yeah.
in Fallujah.
Oh yeah.
Like we took over Camp Fallujah and they're like, yeah, well, everything's pretty quiet around here. We haven't been out in town for like, I don't know, like 5 months. We're thinking to ourselves, really? That'll be cool.
Yeah.
And then, of course, what did we do? Fucking 2 weeks later, we're out fucking stirring the shit pot,
Yep.
Hey, just so you know, all you assholes out here doing stupid shit, we're gonna fuck you up.
Yep. Well, you think about this. So let's talk a little bit about the Jessica Lynch situation.
Oh
That
yeah.
was all with Fluja. So they were so far ahead, and our infantry and everything literally left their support.
Mm-hmm.
The vehicles were breaking down, and they were literally hooking up to them and leapfrogging vehicles, and the
Yes.
infantry just said, you know what, we're out of here. Well,
Yep.
by the time they caught back up, they literally made a dumb move. They got lost.
Yep.
They were following MRE wrappers, and they went through Fallujah, no
Oh,
issues.
absolutely.
And the
Absolutely.
Marines were on the outside. They hadn't invaded yet. They were still waiting for the word to go through Fallujah. Well, once those guys went through it, everybody in Fallujah said, "Holy shit, we're being attacked now." Well,
Yeah.
then they turned around and went back through Fallujah when they realized they were going the wrong direction, and that's
Right.
when the Marines had to come in and rescue them. Because the battle went on for so long that they were literally running out of fuel trying to get out of the city.
Right.
And
There's a
the
lot of shit, man.
Marines had to go come in and help them. And
Marines
yeah,
do a lot of weird shit. Just so people know. Like people are like, oh, Marines, yeah, that's cool, man. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna tell you, some of the smartest men I know are freaking staff NCOs in Marine Corps
yeah,
and sergeants and freaking corporals. And I can tell you that if you give a motivated freaking Lance Corporal a mission, that shit's done. Just don't ask how he got it done.
yeah,
Because I promise you, it'll get done. There might even be some broken shit somewhere. But you don't need to know about that. Because
yep,
as long as it doesn't cost the CMR or anything, you're good.
yeah. And
Like,
and let's talk about size. So the Marines, and I'm not talking bad about the Army or any other branch, but the Marines is literally half the size of the Army, and they
no, we're
hold,
not even that. They're not even that big.
yeah,
It's 300,000 Marines
yeah.
today.
And you think about the foothold in Iraq that they held,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, so you start stretching people that thin, it takes a different breed to
Yes,
be able to handle the stress that comes along with that.
absolutely. And there's a lot of fracturing that happens, man. Like Fallujah messed me up. Al Nazaria messed me up, but Fallujah really messed me up.
Yeah,
Al Nazaria, like the invasion, like that was tough because it was the first time I think any of us really saw how ugly human beings could be to other human beings.
yep.
Um,
That's what
you
I
know,
told my
there's
therapist.
there's one point where we were sitting at the school, the old college building in Al Nazaria, the training facility, and this lady, I was on radio watch during the day. This lady walks up and she's basically hobbled and almost bent over.
Hmm.
And she's just kind of holding herself, right around her abdomen, and she's just kind of hunched. And Mister, help me, Mister, help me, help me. So we pull her in, and I take her into the freaking aid station, and we walk. And this, I was a supply guy for the aid station at this point. Like, I had an M16 A2, but I could have put freaking toothpicks in between the freaking top and the lower receiver because it was so used.
Yeah.
Um, but she comes in, and we put her on a gurney, not a gurney, but like uh what are the things? Don't ever get blown up. It messes everything up.
Stretcher.
Yeah, litter. Wow, that was painful. CRS and TBI. It's the worst condition ever. Um, so we bring her in, we put her on a litter, and she's been shot in the belly. She's been shot. And now she has a very large silk suture in the entrance. And on her back, the bullet went through her back. She had to be hit by a 7.62 by 39. Had to be an AK-47.
Mm-hmm.
Went through her and went out the back. And when I say went out the back, like there was a large hole in her back that was just stuffed with raw cotton. And when I say raw cotton, I don't mean processed cotton.
Yeah.
I mean raw, fibrous, still barely seeded cotton. Do you know what cotton does to a freaking platelet?
No.
It sticks. It turns into concrete.
Oh. Oh.
It doesn't come out very easy. So we ended up medevacing her, but like we treated her in a combat zone. And she was probably one of many. The worst part for me was treating kids.
Yeah.
That was the worst part. Like treating kids, like watching kids getting hit with IPDC, DPICM, freaking bomblets, picking them up, throwing them,
Yeah.
watching their hands getting split into pieces. Like hey, listen, I love my country, and I will fight tooth and nail for this country. But that shit was tough to watch.
Yeah.
These little kids coming in, freaking bomblet hit this little freaking house, and propane caught on fire and burnt this little girl from the freaking waist down. Her body was charred from the waist down.
Damn.
And we had to do, we were cutting, we were cutting pieces of freaking charred flesh away from her bones,
Yeah.
from her joint spaces, just so she could move later on in life. I'll never forget that smell or that screams.
Yeah.
Like you don't forget shit like that.
Nope. And a lot of people don't understand that.
Yeah.
And that was one thing that I've talked about in a lot of my podcasts. It doesn't matter your MOS. The
No,
battlefield affects everybody in a different way, and
absolutely.
everybody's role, will get affected. I don't care if you're the pack clerk, if
Oh yeah.
you're a doctor, a medic, an infantryman, or a mechanic. It doesn't matter.
True story.
You
Most
know.
mechanics didn't realize that they were going to be on a freaking battlefield, freaking retrieving vehicles either.
Yep.
They had no idea.
The army did the worst thing ever. As we got spread thinner and thinner, they started realizing, hey, we can send less people on a convoy by using your maintenance guys as your security force, and then
Right.
they can also fix the vehicles at the same way.
Yep.
You know,
Right.
and so that briefs well. You put that on a PowerPoint
Oh,
slide, and man,
absolutely.
it makes great news. But
Tactically,
the,
it sucks.
but what
Tactically, it's
they
horrible.
yeah, because at the end of the day, we don't start training for that until 4 or 5 months before we actually deploy. The
Right.
rest of the time, we're in the motor pool trying to get all the equipment ready to
Correct.
deploy. And then we
Oh, and
spend,
by the way, it's qualification week. You need to go to shoot your rifle.
you know,
You
yeah,
don't get any CQB. You don't get any freaking. You got to throw a grenade when you when you get your grenade ribbon.
yep.
like the fact that you guys get a grenade ribbon cracks me the fuck up. but And listen, I'm not even a Marine, and I will talk to you like I'm a Marine because I'm more a Marine than I am a sailor. I spent, I was just 17 years in the Navy, but I basically just had a Navy name tape because I spent most of my time with the Marines.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, like people start talking about, oh, you're a squid. And I'm like, yeah, you got a rainbow ribbon for throwing a fucking hand grenade. Shut up. Like, like shut your mouth.
Most of us never even put that on our uniform.
I would probably say the same thing
But
if
when
I
you
were
see
ever
somebody,
awarded that.
when you see
Mm-mm.
that new private coming from AIT, and he's so proud, he's got his little marksman badge and a
You're
grenade
like,
badge.
oh my gay.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
like, yeah, you're gonna
Oh my
love
gay.
this.
Like you're so cute. Oh, cute little guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially after 9/11, we're like, yeah, you have no fucking clue what you're
Oh
about to
yeah,
get
yeah.
into.
Hey, you know what? I'm gonna need you to go get the keys for the Humvee from Sergeant First Class fucking shitbag. Whatever.
I
Just
was
go
I was
ask for
in
the
a
keys.
I was in an airborne. We'd send them to Sergeant Major and ask for the keys to the drop zone.
Oh Jesus. Or go get me a box of gig line.
Yep. Grid
Give me a
squares
box of
and
yeah, grid squares and gig line.
yep. Oh yeah, man.
Relative bearing grease.
Yep. Good
Fuck.
times.
All kinds of crazy stupid shit. Yeah.
So
But
so
yeah,
how long did you stay in the military then?
I did 17 years, man. I did
17
from
years.
94, so from 94 to 2010.
We came in exactly the same year.
Yep.
Yeah, we
July
came
94 is when I came in.
October for me.
I went to boot camp on the 12th of July. And then yeah. So, I mean, that was that was the beginning. And it's funny because like I had all these half rides of scholarships for college and from playing sports and all that shit.
Mhm.
But I had joined the DEP program because I did it the year prior because I was like, you know what, screw it. Like I already know what I'm doing. And I let them talk me into it. Oh yeah, boy, can we get blah blah, you know.
Yeah.
So the DEP program, I showed up and so I depped basically with the Marines, like whatever. Um, and then then I told the gunny what I wanted to do, and he was like, "Oh, it's fucking stupid souls, fucking sailor," And then whatever. So then I finished my DEP program with sailors, but uh, on the 12th of July in 1994, I was on my way. But the prior to that, like I got all these college scholarships. Like I even got a half ride to UK. I got a full ride to EKU. I got a half ride to Tennessee. There was all kinds of stupid shit like popped up in the mail. Playing defensive end or playing uh linebacker or whatever. But at the end of the day, like I didn't know that I could get out of my depth program.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, it's probably wise that they didn't tell me
Yeah.
because I would have probably gone to college and done the whole frat thing and been like, oh, you know what? Screw you guys. And yeah, I would have failed out of college.
Yep.
Um,
The,
because
Ar-
I,
the Army does the same thing. They'll tell you once you swear in, you can't change your
right.
mind. You'll go to jail if
Oh
you
yeah,
change your
dude.
mind.
Oh yeah. The magic lie. You're already here, boy. Like, son of a bitch. Tell your mom I'm calling you tomorrow. Fine. Cool. Why am I calling you Tommy? It's weird. Like in your name, Stab Sergeant or some shit, whatever. Right now, it's just Steven. Okay, Steven. Cool. But yeah, but it was, yeah, it's one of those things where like, I didn't know. And you know what? I wouldn't change a thing, man. I
Yeah.
wouldn't change a thing. I enjoyed my career and it
Yeah.
was a career for me. I didn't give a shit about a freaking fit rep or an eval. I never chased awards. I didn't give a shit about any of that garbage.
Yep.
People like, man, when I started writing my on my way out the door, they're like, you should write yourself up for a comm. And I'm like, no, I'm not writing myself. Why? Why am I writing myself up for a fucking Navy award?
Yeah.
Like, that's your job.
Yep.
My job is to do my job. Your job is to evaluate me doing my job. Now, if I need to evaluate people underneath me, that's one thing. But it's not my job to write myself an award.
Yep.
That's your job.
I had to do the same thing for my retirement award.
I don't know. Thank you.
Yep.
No, thank you. Just give me my DD-214. I'm on my way out the door.
Yep.
Sad.
Yeah, I mean, it was common sense had left the military by the time I retired. I had a first sergeant literally call me while I was on terminal leave.
Yeah.
I was already started my own business. I was working towards that before I got out, and I opened up a trucking company when I got out.
Oh,
I
right
was
on.
literally in a truck headed to Minnesota when I got a call from my first sergeant. Now, I'm past my permissive TDY. I'm actually in my actual leave time,
Right,
right?
right.
And so
You've already done
legally,
all your house hunting and all
yep,
that shit. You've already done your move.
yep.
So
So
you're
I'm,
literally on leave.
yep, and I'm legally able to take on another job.
You are terminally on leave. Right.
I've got a DD-214.
You're burning. Yeah. You're burning stuff they owe you.
Yep, and
That's
and
it.
he calls me and says, "Hey, battalion wants everybody that is retiring to come in tomorrow and take a PT test." I
Nope.
just laughed at him. I
Yeah,
said,
I
"So
would
what?"
too.
I said, "So why are you calling me?" Well,
Yeah.
you're technically still in the military. You're on terminal leave. I said, "Let's see how far that goes."
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
said because before I got put on terminal leave, they had to cut me orders
Yeah.
taking me out of the military. Then they
Right.
handed me a DD-214. I said,
Right.
"So I'm on my way to Minnesota to deliver a load in my next career." I said, "But if you can get a hold of Congress before tomorrow morning and have them bring me back into the military,
Right. Right. Right.
I will gladly be there to fail my next PT test."
Right. Were you a staff NCO? Were you a staff sergeant or
Yeah, I
something?
was a staff sergeant,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like,
and
listen,
that's
if you
all.
get Congress, if you can get somebody in Congress to be like, "Hey, man, I need you to head back over there and some shit," like, be like, I'll be happy. I'll be happy to come out there and drink a cup of coffee while you guys do all kinds of weird shit. Like, it's
Yeah,
cool.
I'll turn this truck around right fucking now.
Facts, and I will sit there in my underwear and watch y'all PT,
Yep.
and you can
Yeah.
write a big fat zero on all three of my freaking tests.
Well, needless to say, he hung up, and I went on to Minnesota.
Good Lord. Good Lord, man.
But yeah, I mean, and it just got to the point where it wasn't fun anymore.
Yeah.
So, that's why I ended up hanging it up and retiring. But
There's a lot of people wanted to make a name for themselves, man. Like that's what I felt like I was seeing.
yeah,
People
yeah,
wanted to make a name for themselves in a combat scenario. Like, and I didn't give a shit, dude. I did 2 tours and I didn't give a damn. I was grateful that I survived. And then I had an opportunity to come back and teach people how to survive what I survived
yeah,
and
yeah,
how to help other people how to survive it. That listen, and I'm not I don't know how to say this without saying this weirdly. Like, I have a couple people like like man, my buddy Jake, like, he was like, listen, he goes, I'm gonna tell you right now. He goes, I got a damn silver star. And he goes, the only freaking reason I have a silver star, he says, when I got shot in the face, all I could remember was you yelling at me, telling me that it wasn't over yet. And he said, all I hear was you fucking getting so saying, get up, you ain't done yet. And and so this sailor, this is not me bragging. This is me telling you about him. Gets up, takes a round to the face, right here, comes out back here,
yeah.
right? It knocks him out for a few seconds. He gets up, treats 2 Marines, gets him on a helo, passes out, wakes up in Doha, or wakes up in Maryland, because they're pinning a silver star on his chest.
Wow.
Yeah, like, and he tells me that the only reason he did that is because he heard me yelling. You're
Yeah.
not done yet. You don't get to give up on the battlefield. I don't know if I should feel horrible for that or feel accomplished for that. I don't know what I'm supposed to feel for that. Those are some of the things that I don't know how to classify
Yeah. No,
because,
I completely understand that.
you know, Tyler Burdick is probably one of the most accomplished freaking Paralympic downhill freaking snowboarders. Another Corman, junior sailor,
Yeah.
freaking, he's a triple medal winner. Um, and he's like the one moment, I'm sitting in the front of the buffalo. The next thing I know, the buffalo's been blown out of hell. Both my ankles are crushed, and I crawl to the back of the Hummer or the back of the buffalo, and I start treating my freaking Marines in the back of the buffalo. And he goes, "I just did what you taught me how to do."
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about that because now he has no legs. I go, "You got new legs, Lieutenant Dan." But like sometimes I feel bad or guilty for that.
Yeah, you don't know whether, and I think a lot of this comes down to um the mindset of the individual. You know,
Yeah,
are they uh living a quality life now?
sure.
You know,
Well, and you know what? I'm going to tell you what I will tell most of them that want to give me credit is that it was already inside of you. All I did was shine a light on it for you.
and that is true.
That's it. And
No,
that to me, that's kind of how I try to put it to sleep because there are nights where I feel bad about shit like that.
no.
I look at these young men and women and I see some of the things that I told them and how some of it has jacked them up and how some of it has kept them alive. And I always crack a joke about I probably caused more PTS than freaking combat did in that schoolhouse. Like
Yeah.
I'll guarantee it. Like there was period points of time where I created this freaking sim lab that the freaking captain, the Navy captain, was like, "Listen, man, I'm gonna need you to freaking tone it down. You're gonna give these people some serious problems." Like I had like blood poured all over the floor. There was shit, blood everywhere. I had people hanging on freaking walls, shit,
Yeah.
chained to the walls, and I had this freaking. This was part of the training. I had a table for document signing with their feet and one hand bound to a chair, one hand free with a pen, and I had the throat cut over top of a document on a table because I wanted them to see reality.
Yeah. And that's just it. If at the end of the day you can't handle what you're seeing here,
You don't need to see
imagine
it there.
imagine when you're trying to fix what you're seeing
Yep.
in and still stay alive while you're doing it because you're still being shot at.
I got in trouble for that so many times. So many times. You're pushing
But
them too hard. You're pushing them too hard. You're putting no. Am I though? Like, am I? I don't know.
I had a soldier, man, and we were in Mosul, and I'll never forget this. This kid was a pump mechanic. That's what his MOS was.
Yeah.
And he came over, and we were in the 160th SOAR, and he let the reputation of others go to his head, and he thought he was somebody. And
Mm-hmm.
every day he was like, "Hey, when are we going to go out and start kicking in doors? When are we going to go on a mission?" And I'd look at him. I said, "Man, you want a mission?" I said, "You see that gator over there? Change the batteries. That's your mission."
Right.
You know, I said, "You're not going out the wire until somebody knows how you can handle things."
Right.
You know, so I don't remember what he did. I sent him to the flight line for something, and I got a phone call. I had to go pick him up, and I was knife handing him as I was just chewing his ass and driving him back.
Right.
And a mortar comes in, and luckily it didn't explode. It hit the ground, and a whole bunch of gravel hit the side of the truck, and then some more came in, and we drove out of the area. And I mean, that
Fuck
dude's
your bracket, man.
yeah, that dude screamed like 3 times as
Yeah.
these rounds were coming in, and I couldn't get him to leave the buildings. He
Yeah.
stayed in full battle rattle from
Mhm.
that point forward, and he would not come out of the buildings if it
Come out of the
wasn't a
hooch.
solid. Nope, nope, he was not doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
I'll be honest with you. I would prefer not being in a hooch.
Oh
Shit like
yeah,
that comes in. I'd
yeah,
rather be on the freaking ground on my feet.
yep,
Can't stand that shit.
yeah, man.
Like when I got to Fallujah in 2004, like I was part of the I was supposed to be the LPO or the leading petty officer of the regimental aid station. Well, we had Pat uh Pat Warren come in, and he took over as the first class for the position, and I was like, all right, cool. And they're like, well, you can go back to being supply, and I'm like, you can kiss my ass about that. And then there was a phone call, and it was a regimental combat. It was the RCT 1, and they're like, hey, we need a corpsman to be part of the colonel's PSD, and I was like, yep, you do. I will take it. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I will be over there in 20 minutes. And that's pretty much what happened.
Yeah, man.
And, we went, and, I don't know if you know this or not, but generally, when you are with somebody like that, John Toolan's a great man, but when you're like, that dude wants to see every battle.
Yeah.
He wants to see every battle. He's like, I need to know what's happening on my freaking battle space. And he will go there and he will watch it. And he will
Yeah.
watch it with his Kevlar in the seat, smoking a cigar on a radio. Sir, can you put your helmet back on? Can you put your Kevlar back on? Because I don't necessarily want to spoon your shit back in your skull. But you know what? I would die for that man. That's the
Yeah.
greatest dude in the world. One of the greatest guys ever. You know, there's a lot of men. There's a lot of men that I fought with and or worked with. A lot of men and women that I worked with that I would die for
Yeah.
in a heartbeat.
No, I completely get it. You know, and that's where a lot of this came from. Was it seemed like when our buddies were starting to hurt themselves, it always came around the transition time. They would transition out of the military, and within that few first couple of years of getting out, you know, and that's where I had a hard time. That's kind of where I went down a dark streak was about
Yeah,
the retirement
that's
transition,
right.
and I didn't get no help right away. As a matter of fact, I didn't even file a VA claim for like 3 years until I got out. And
Dumbass.
yeah,
Dumbass.
yeah,
Anyway,
I
I'm
did.
sorry to bust your balls, but I'm gonna
No,
bust your balls.
it's true. It all came
Yeah,
down to
yeah.
a lot of the symptoms that I had and the attitude I had was I'm not fucked up. Everybody else is fucked up.
Right,
You know.
right. Ain't nothing wrong with me, fool. Shut your
Yep.
mouth.
And,
Well,
and
I can also tell you that a lot of that comes from, and this is the other side of that coin. A lot of that comes from, especially for people like us, like we we are constantly giving ourselves away, and that's what we know. That's what we understand. So I don't need to burden Uncle Sam anymore because Uncle Sam's already burdened.
yeah.
And so it like we want help, but we don't want to ask for help because we don't want to be a problem.
And if you don't look like the guy to your left and right, then you're the one that is the problem,
You're the problem.
which
Yeah.
means I can't be broken.
Right. When you're the weakest link, and you are the problem. And the
Yep.
reality is we're all weak links
Yep.
at some point.
Yeah,
And we have to
absolutely.
learn. We have to learn. I think we have to learn. And this is what bothers me now. Like, and dude, there's gonna be hell to pay for the statement that I'm about to make. I've put a lot of friends in the ground to suicide. I put a lot of put a lot of friends in the ground from combat, but I've put more people into the ground from suicide, post combat,
Yeah.
post service, and but also to alcoholism, drug
Yep.
addiction, homelessness, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, that being said, I think I think that we are in a place today to where we create fantasy in suicide.
Yeah.
I I've been there. I've been that dude. There's 5 times I can tell you right now in my own hand that I shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
last time was at freaking the end of a freaking guardrail at freaking like 70 miles an hour, drunk as hell, freaking 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have I shouldn't have survived that. There wasn't a scratch on me. Didn't have a bruise. Didn't have nothing. My car was in my car looked like a reverse taco.
Yeah.
The engine was on the ground, but not a blemish on me. Not a blemish. I woke up. I woke up right before I hit the guardrail, and I was like, "Oh fuck, this sucks." Hit the
Yeah.
guardrail, and then I was like, "So, I was trying to kill myself without trying to kill myself. Even
Yeah.
like I was trying to drink, smoke, drug, all that. Like I've done all that shit. Me and cocaine don't like each other. Like I like cocaine a lot, but me and cocaine together doesn't do good for people.
Right.
Like it's not something that needs to be mixed because me, cocaine and alcohol break people and things.
Yeah.
And I don't ever want to be that guy again.
Yeah. Yep.
So I've been sober for 2.5 years now. And I've lived my you want to talk about me living my best life? I'm not joking you. When generally when you ask me how I'm doing about, I go, if I were doing any better, it'd probably be illegal. Like I mean that. like like I mean that.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So,
Like
so when you got out of the military, is that when your music career started, or what did you
yeah.
do when you got
So
out?
so when I got out, I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I was playing music anyway. I was playing music for all kinds of places. I was playing music on bar stools. I was playing in a band. I started a band when I was like active duty. I started with a band called Slack Noise. Weird. Uh and it was spelled SLACKNOIZE. Slack Noise.
Of course it
like
was.
you can't make that shit up. Like totally, totally like toolish as hell. And like we were totally like a tool, like man. And we were all like there was 3 active duty guys and a firefighter who was a former Marine. And there was a lot of alcohol because kiss my ass, whatever. And we drank a lot. And at that point, like I had just gotten back from Fallujah, so me being out in the crowd was one of those things that I had to drink in order to do.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
And I had to drink a lot, and like I was the guy that would walk up. Like we were at this one bar called the Hook and Ladder. I'll never forget it. We were at the Hook and Ladder. They'd already paid us for like 3 hours. This lady walks up and hands us a bucket of Bud Light. And she goes, "There's more where this comes from if we can just have the DJ play." And I was like, "Sweetheart, I don't really give a fuck what you do. I've already been paid." My buddy Jeff Jarrett, the drummer, was like, "Dude, you can't say that." I'm like, "It's too late. I already said it. Fuck
It's
her
out
and
there.
fuck her and fuck this place. I don't care. Like, whatever." Granted, they're all a bunch of firemen who were former Marines and all this other and I'm like, I don't give a F bomb.
Yeah.
Like all you people. And I might have already been 3 sheets to the wind at that point. Because we were getting ready. We played maybe like 3 songs. And she goes, "You guys are awesome, but is it okay? I'll give you this bucket of Bud Light and shots if we could just let the DJ play." And I was like, "You know what? How about you take your fat ass out of here?" Because I'm like, fuck off. Like I've already been paid. I don't need to worry about you.
Yeah.
And then we got on this. We did probably like 3 or 4 more songs, Tool songs. It was bad. It was bad. Like that, at that point, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to be loud and obnoxious and flip everybody off in here. The Hook and Ladder may or may not have been a country bar that experienced some really heavy grunge that day.
I actually like Tool, so I mean,
I love Tool. I
yeah.
love Tool, but you could probably imagine Tool mixed with like Bush, who meets maybe Pearl Jam. Yeah. And that was before I started taking drugs, boy. That's before drugs. That was just all alcohol. I was still active duty. Gave no fucks. Didn't care. And
That
then
is
so
awesome.
we started Slack Noise. Slack Noise went on for a little while, and then I lost that band. They kicked me out of the band because they were all sensitive. Whatever. I'll be honest
Fucking
with
Air
you. I
Force.
was, yeah. A bunch of freaking chair pilots, whatever, weirdos. No, well, so I will be completely honest with you. I was messed up. I was a hard person to deal with. I'm like I was the dude that had no problem with telling you to go fuck yourself.
Yep.
And it didn't matter whether you were part of the band or you were part of the organization we were playing for.
Yeah.
Like I didn't care.
You know,
Like it
and
was like,
a lot of people don't realize it. That's where, in my opinion, that's where the PTSD starts. That's one of the first symptoms. And at that point, that's what's so dangerous about it.
yep.
It's not my problem.
What do
It's
I have to
your
lose?
problem.
Right. What do I have to lose? Fuck you. Like I don't have to listen to you. Like you know where I've been?
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know what I've done? Like Matt Best said it well. And I'm not necessarily a big fan of Matt, but I don't hate him. Uh Thank me for my service, or what was it? What's the book he wrote? Um You're welcome for my service or some shit, whatever
Yeah.
that is. I mean, I'll find out. I'll tell you. I'm not trying to plug Matt's book, but I don't like necessarily not being able to like Matt Best.
But I can relate, man, because when I was out there on the road and I still hadn't realized that I had a problem, I still remember getting pulled away from a guy's truck that I was trying to pull out of his truck
Oh yeah.
because he sat in front of the fuel line too long.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's literally all it would take to piss me off is when
Right.
I tell you to move and you didn't move. Well, then I'll move you. I'll take you out of
Right.
that truck and I'll move the fucking truck, you know?
Right.
And,
Yeah.
and it didn't take much to set me off.
Nope. Thank you for my service. That's the name of the book.
I'm gonna have to check it out. I haven't read it.
Yeah, it's you're not missing much. But yeah, it's so but you know, um that's what I felt like. That's
Yeah,
literally what I felt like. You know what? Hey, you know what? Here's the deal. Like you have absolutely no idea what I deal with on a daily basis. You have no idea what I go to sleep with every night. Now I feel the same way, but I don't hold other people accountable for it.
yeah,
It's just because it's not their responsibility. It's not their responsibility to know what I've done or where I've been. It's not their responsibility to understand me. It is always and will always be our responsibility as veterans, as soldiers, sailors, Marines, airmen, coasties, weird, um,
Space Force.
and Space Force to adapt to our situations every time
Yeah,
because that's what we've been taught to do. And when I say adapt, that doesn't necessarily mean swallow it and piss fire and granite. What that means is that adaptation also involves self help,
yeah,
self progress, self preservation, self appreciation,
yep,
um, self love. Like all those things are very important. And those are things we're taught to deal without.
yeah. And
Um,
and I think that's another reason why, I just posted this when I was talking today about the the coat drive I want to do. And one of the
Yeah.
things I put in there was it's not it's not okay to sit there and blame the government and expect the government to fix these problems. As
No.
veterans, we need to police up ourselves. These
Right.
are our battle buddies. These are guys that we can
Right.
relate to. And I don't agree with enabling anybody. I don't agree with
No.
saying,
No.
hey, this guy's homeless. All he needs is a beer. Let me give him a beer. No, but
Yeah.
you can help people,
Sure.
and you
Sure.
can provide things like jackets or show them where to get some help or whatever.
That
You
right
know,
there, that piece right there, you can show them where to get help. And as long as you, here's the deal, man. I can't lead a horse to water. And everybody hears this thing, and I don't know if
yeah,
they ever listen to it or really kind of gather it. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And at the end of the day, all that means is I can show you what I do
yep,
to keep myself motivated and alive, but I can't make you do the same thing.
right.
So I can be an example, and I can be there in front of you, but I can't make you choose to grind. I can't make you choose to
Yeah.
grind.
and
If you
and I
want to
feel the
choose to
same
grind,
way
let me
of
know.
I feel the same way about the substance abuse.
Right.
You look at these veterans out there that are still self medicating, whether they're homeless or not, that doesn't matter. And when they tell you, hey, I just want to get clean, well, you need to expect when you're trying to help them that they're going to fail.
Yes.
And instead of blaming them and then walking up and saying it's okay, you should be walking up and saying, well, let me know when you're ready to try again.
Right.
You know,
Accountability, man.
yep.
Accountability. There's
And
no, like, I don't know. Listen, I'll be honest with you. I didn't have any accountability for myself for the longest time.
yeah,
I didn't. You know what held me accountable? I'll tell you what finally held me accountable. My felony level DUI.
yeah,
My felony level DUI that I survived. And at that point, that was God going, hey, bro, here's your one chance. Do not miss your chance to blow because opportunity only comes once in a lifetime. Marshall Mathers, Eminem, probably one of the most profound freaking lyrics he ever wrote.
yeah.
Like, yeah, like, and I woke up in that freaking, I woke up in that jail cell and I prayed for 12 hours. I was like, I don't know what the hell you want me to do. And it wasn't like I was being kind or polite or sweet. I was like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Where the fuck am I supposed to, how the fuck am I supposed to fix this? I can't do this anymore. I need you to unfuck me. That is where I got real humble.
Yeah.
I was
And,
facing 2 years in prison for a fourth DUI.
and and that's not uncommon. Have you ever noticed? So, like when you go to the VA and you start going through therapy, what is one of the questions they ask you? Do you have any legal problems?
Right.
Because it's so common.
Yes.
You know, as veterans, we get to that point. There's rock bottom, and then there's veteran rock bottom. You know,
I was gonna say you're gonna say there's rock bottom and then there's pit bottom.
yeah.
Like,
I mean, once we
like
hit the bottom, we're like, fucking hold my beer. We can go lower.
yeah, hold on. Hold on. I think I got some Simtex here somewhere. Fuck you. I've got a granite drill. You kiss my ass.
Yeah. And before we admit that we're wrong, you know, and I've lived my life that way. You know, I literally started my trucking business because I couldn't find a fucking job. So I was like, well, fuck
Right.
you, world. I'll just start my own fucking business. And I didn't know shit
Listen,
about
man,
any of that shit.
destitution. I'll be honest with you, dude. Destitution is sometimes the best motivation you'll ever get.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like we're like we have this thing where we, like, I'll say this. I think that I was taught perfection. Not just in the military, but I was taught perfection at home. And then I was polished by perfection in the military. And I was never like, when you jack up, when I jacked up in the military, it was like, oh yeah, I got you. Here's what's gonna happen. You're gonna get this paperwork. You're gonna get 20 hours of EMI. You're gonna get all this fucking stupid shit. You're gonna lose a pay grade. You're gonna get blah 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 blah.
Yep.
UCMJ this and blah blah blah. We're gonna put you under the brig. Well, I guess that means the line that I gotta toe is, I don't know, something about that thick. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's pretty thin. So what you're saying is don't fuck up. Okay, I got it.
Yep.
And they're not wrong, because especially as a corpsman, in my real job, in my tactical job, life matters all day, every day.
Yep.
Small mistakes kill people.
Yeah. We're talking about second decisions, not minute
Correct.
decisions.
Correct. Correct. And so those things, when you're the guy that thinks, hey, listen, I'm the guy that stands in front of St. Peter and was like, hey, bud, you can't take him. And he's like, oh, you're cute. St. Peter goes, oh, I'll see you in about 5 years.
Yeah.
You know, it's there's a weight that you can't, I don't know, sometimes hard to hold on to, but those things, like, there are moments where I still have time where I should have done this, or I should have fixed that, or I should have put my hand in there faster, or I could have, you know, why didn't I get that line started faster? Why couldn't I?
Yeah.
Where was this fucking oxygen tank when I needed one?
And
I can
and
sit and do
that's
that all day long.
and that survivor's guilt is that form of PTSD runs in civilian medical fields as well as it
Absolutely,
does in the military.
absolutely.
You know,
Some of the worst treated mother truckers on the planet are cops and firefighters
yeah.
and EMTs and paramedics. I'll be honest with you. And listen, I'm so sad that for 2 years, the medical field decided that they were going to freaking celebrate nurses and doctors. And then when all this COVID garbage was over, they're villains.
Yep.
Like, fuck you people. Like, hey,
Yeah.
how much rainbow wash do you really need to swallow?
Yeah. And that's another problem that we have in our country right now is we quit believing in ourselves and have started putting our faith in parties. And whatever that party believes, whether I personally agree with it or not, I have to believe it because I have to belong to that party.
You know
And
what's funny? You're not wrong, but I want to tell you what the real big picture is, what the real big problem is. Diversity is not our issue.
oh, I agree. I
Diversity
agree.
diversity is not our issue. What our problem is that they're continuing to push diversity so far that they can't see how diverse we already are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I don't know about you, but I didn't give a shit about what fucking skin tone you were.
Nope.
I didn't care. You know what? Even if I did, and or even if we were talking, most of the time we would joke about it.
Oh yeah.
Most of the time we
Yeah.
would crack jokes. Like,
Veteran humor, man. There was no
oh, dude,
limits.
yeah, yeah, absolutely not. Like, but if you ever talked about my brother in any light that was unbecoming of what we expected from you, you paid the price. I don't give a
Yep.
shit who you were.
Yep. See, and that's what I was getting at. I think the problem is as a nation, we quit thinking for ourselves.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And that's the problem. And it goes back to social media. It goes back to
Oh,
we
yeah.
were talking about this on another one of my podcasts. Um, I used to look at TikTok and shit like that, and I got away from it, man.
TikTok scares the fuck out of me.
Yeah, yeah, and
there's some
and
there's some
the
serious serial killers on TikTok, bro.
oh yeah, and you look at like the Facebook Reels and shit. You take veterans that are already having problems, and now you have put them in a situation where they only need to pay attention for 30 seconds to a minute,
Oh yeah.
you know, and you have just stopped the ability for them to think for themselves. You know,
Yeah.
it's do I like or don't like scroll? Do I like, don't like scroll?
Well, it's bigger than that, man. We're sitting here and we're talking about, social media. Like I'm gonna tell you, to be honest with you, this is just my opinion, but and it's my humble opinion, but to be honest with you, the fact that we allow an attention deficit disorder be, I don't know about you, but I was born in Gen X. And I'm pretty sure if you really want to classify it, I have ADD or ADHD, but we didn't have anybody managing us.
No.
My mom and dad went to work. I was I was the babysitter. And if I was bored, then if I didn't have anything to do or there was nobody to watch, like I'd be out in the backyard setting a fire or running, cutting down trees with an axe or like,
Yep.
swimming in a river by myself. Like that's what I did. That's what we did growing up.
Yep.
I, you
I did,
know,
I did the same
like
shit.
whether I had ADD or not, like who, man,
Yeah.
I could tell you the whole DSM-5. There ain't nothing scientific about DSM-5. The DSM-5 is it's the psychological journal by which they diagnose psychological deficits. It is the spectrum at which we all live on. It's all done by votes. There's no scientific information involved.
Why does that not surprise
Yeah, there's no scientific and this is all coming from board certified psychologist who's been on that board. Like, and she's been like, oh yeah, yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, nope. You should check. So listen, if you if you've never heard of it, I'm actually going again this May. I'm gonna go up there and do a refresher because I'm gonna go up there and be a mentor for this program called Warfighter Advance. And you want to talk about learning some serious stuff that will blow your mind. Psychological diagnosis and medication is one of the biggest chains to your ankle known to man.
really?
Yep. If you are on Effexor, and I'm not saying that you need to quit quit taking your Effexor or quit taking your Abilify or quit taking your lithium because that's I like taking my battery acid. I had that shit once. Um, but I'm not telling you need to stop taking it. But if what I will tell you is that if you can work your way to a point with a doctor and a psychologist because you want to be off of those meds, and that means you have to do the work. You have to do the work that's required to fix the deficit inside wherever this is. For me, there was a lot of stuff on both levels, here, and spiritually, that I had to fix. Um, and that took good people. It took a good therapist that wanted nothing but my best benefits. It took a good Christian leader. It took a lot of really good people.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that if you could work your way off of any of those medications and do the work that's required to get you to being better and get you off of those medications, you will see a better side of your life that you never knew was there.
Yeah, I
Best
did.
freaking chain, best chain that freaking society has ever put on a human being.
Yeah.
True story.
I do believe it. So I've been lucky with the psychiatrist I have, right? I don't know what the deal was, how it worked,
Sure.
um, but the cocktail she made for me worked for me.
Sure.
My buddy has got the same psychiatrist.
Mm-hmm.
It did not work for him.
So let
As
me
a
tell
matter
you,
of fact,
that
it's been worse.
cocktail, that there's nothing wrong with taking that cocktail. There's nothing wrong with taking that cocktail. Well, that cocktail is not designed for you to be on for the whole time for your whole life.
Right.
You are not built to have a man-made drug in your body. Like that drug was designed, what that drug was supposed to be designed for was to help you break through the boundaries of the things that you couldn't talk about and take the edge off while you talked about them. However, that's not how we do medicine today. Not that I know anything about medicine. I may or may not have just spent a night or two at a Holiday Inn Express once or twice. But that's how we do medicine today. Hey, you know what?
Long-term buying
Yeah. Hey, bro, like that's just gonna put more money in my pocket. I'm just gonna put you on freaking Effects or Abilify and lithium for about 16 years until you die.
and I'm going to collect the up pays because I pushed their drug over somebody else's. Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's it. That's it.
And that's why I can go from one psychiatrist, take my paperwork, go to another one, hand them the paperwork from the last one. They look through my records and they say, "Oh, yeah, we need to change this because those side effects, those are really bad. So I'm going to put you on this other stuff." You know,
Listen, if you have to hear a disclaimer on TV that says may cause suicide, may cause rectal bleeding, may cause oozing from your rectal freaking listen, if you have to hear those disclaimers, you probably shouldn't take it.
10,
Just
10-second
saying.
advertisement and 20 seconds worth of disclaimers.
Yes. If you hear that, it's probably a good idea that you don't need it.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
So, and there are better ways. Like, listen, I will tell you, and it sucks. It sucks. My last 2 years probably the toughest therapy I've ever done in my life because I really did it.
Yeah.
And I did it sober. I didn't have anything to take the edge off. And I wasn't drinking or drugging. And it was fucking painful.
Yeah.
And it was real. And I learned how to cope with it. That's the best thing that ever happened to me. And the only reason that worked for me was because of the grace of God.
Yeah. If you don't have faith, even if you can't, even if you're one of those people that don't believe in God, but if you can't at least have faith in yourself, you're never going to make it.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But at the end of the day, I'll just be honest with you. You know, I am only who I am because God has made me what I am today.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
So that
I
being said, and
personally believe in Jesus. I
well,
don't. I'm not a big church guy, but I do
I
believe.
no, like listen, church, where two or more are gathered in my name, I shall be in thy presence. That's church.
Yep,
You don't have to be in $1 million building to be in a church.
I agree.
You can have church with 4 or 5 people sitting on a river bend fishing,
Yep,
and that's okay. As long as you're talking about Jesus and you're talking about the Bible and you're talking about the word and you're in the word and you're talking about the word and you're being the word and you're there and you're sharing each other's time, that's church. Church is not a building.
yeah,
It's a people. It's a group.
a community.
That's it. That is it.
I 100% agree.
I can't stand it, man. I went to a church service one time at First Baptist down here in freaking at League City in League City. Huge church. Huge $4 million church. And the head pastor spent 45 minutes talking about how they were going to build this new like $10 million church because they were overgrown and that the congregation wasn't tithing enough.
Wasn't tithing enough?
Yeah, they weren't tithing enough. They weren't doing what God expects them to do. And the reality is that people don't understand that a pastor is just a man.
Yep. He is he's a teacher.
Yeah, even though he's a microphone for God.
Yeah,
However, like those microphones get dirty.
that's the
Those
problem that we've
microphones get
got.
dirty. Yeah, well, the reality is that religion is man. I don't even like hearing the word religion. Religion is a man-made thing.
Yeah.
Christianity is where it's at.
Well, you you look at the situation and how far away from religion America has gotten.
Oh Lord.
We are now to the point to where we are arguing over basic biology. You know, if you
Don't get me started in that conversation.
if you
I
can't,
promise you, I'll get us shut down real quick.
oh no,
I promise you.
I own this platform. They may stop.
I promise you, it will get shut down real quick.
They may stop me from putting it on Facebook, but they can't stop me from posting it.
Yeah, like, look, man. I don't know if you understand this or not, but your makeup is made up to like. Well, at the end of the day, God created us so that we would complement each
You were speaking to the choir.
other. I know. Like,
I
and how do you
completely
not get
agree.
that? How do you not get that? How do you not get that?
So there's another guy that's coming on the show in a couple weeks. His name is Dexter Pitts,
Yeah.
and his next podcast is going to be about the whole shooting that just happened in
Oh,
Nashville
dude.
with the transgender and all that. And I put a comment on there. I said, so I should cook some popcorn because these comments are about to get good.
Bro, listen, if he's got space available and he needs a fucking guest, I'll be happy to be on his podcast.
Well, he posted a question on Facebook, and the question was um, something to the lines of why is it that the women are being taken down from these high level sports and not saying anything about it?
Yeah.
Why don't they just quit, walk away, and get rid of women's sports? And everybody was like, yeah, because they don't want to be labeled. They don't want this. And I put on there, I said, let me tell you something. If to be successful, first of all, at a collegiate level sport,
Right.
you have to be a type A personality.
Facts.
Second of all, you have to have discipline and you have to have the ability to fight through any trials that you come across. Whether that trial used to have a penis or not does not matter. They
Or
would rather,
it still has a penis and it just has rubber breasts.
yes, at the end of the day, they would rather die losing than to not try at all.
Yeah.
And you can't tell them to step down and go on strike and do all this because that's not going to change anything.
Dude, I don't understand that shit. I don't. I just can't.
No, I don't either, man.
I don't get it. At the end of the day, like, here's the deal. Let me put this is going to be horrible. Again, this is going to be one of those things that people aren't going to want to hear. We're more worried about the freaking gender ideology of a freaking mentally ill person.
Yep.
And look, while I'm speaking about this, let's break out the term AR-15 because it wasn't an AR-15. She had a Kel-Tec 9 freaking long barrel.
Yeah.
Stupid.
You
Wasn't
mean
an AR, it wasn't an AR. It was fucking Kel-Tec 9mm freaking long barrel rifle.
Yeah.
Jackasses. Which is,
So
I guess, like, it's like an SBR, isn't it? Isn't it like an
yeah,
SBR?
yeah.
So we have a mentally ill person. I don't give a shit what gender they are. Killing 6 people, innocent people. Because what? Oh, that's right. They're fucking mentally ill.
Yeah.
But we're going to worry about how gender disoriented we are. Shut the fuck up.
Look, if you want to talk about a pandemic, the mental health problem that's in America is the
Facts.
pandemic.
Facts. You couldn't have said that better, bro.
And I don't know, I don't care if you're military or not. You take the drugs that are youth, and it has affected my family. I see a difference in my family members
Set
from
that bitch
before
on
they
fire.
took drugs to after. their
Yeah.
thought process changes. And you take that and then you wait till they become adults. And now life decisions are thought and figured out completely different.
If you can't figure out that they're doing this shit on purpose, you're fucking crazy.
Oh, I agree.
They're trying to break us down one by one.
You can't tell me if we wanted to stop fentanyl that we couldn't.
Oh, too easy.
Yeah,
Too easy.
I agree.
If we wanted to stop all this shit on this planet right now, if we wanted to stop all, listen, at one point, we're no longer a superpower, just so you know.
Oh, I know.
We're a laughing stock.
I have said this for a long time. We are on the downslide of the Roman Empire.
We are literally, yeah, absolutely. Octavius.
Yep.
Absolutely. You're not wrong. Octavius Caesar, the bottom.
Yep.
You're
And what happened on their downside? They
oh.
started getting away from God.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happened. There was a whole lot of homosexuality that was going
Yeah.
on, a lot of orgies and just a lot of disgust.
Dude, and I'll be honest with you, I don't give a shit what you do behind your own doors because you
I
don't
don't,
care about what I do behind my closed doors, and that's where that's supposed to stay anyway.
and it's not my job to judge you. It,
Right.
you're going to get judged just like I'm going to get judged,
That's right.
and we're all going to get judged by the same person,
A
whatever
sin,
you call
a
him.
sin is a sin. You judging me and me judging you is still a sin.
Yep. Yep.
So I don't give a shit what you do. Just don't make, listen, I will say this. You put that shit in front of my kids,
Yeah. That's where the problem is.
you're probably not going to survive it. That whole Jeffrey March thing, like I saw a video and he was like, and I was like, oh, how cute are you? I feel like I should play you that TikTok at some point because I was like, oh, listen here, sweet cheeks. Like I was just like, I was like, listen, I just want you to understand, like you look like you're all scary and stuff. It's kind of weirdly inviting. like I kind of want to come over there and strangle the fuck out of you because whatever. Like dude, I don't. And again, like you do whatever you wear your green eyeliner and all your shit in your room, but you start inviting kids to a Patreon page to pay you $5 to talk about gender euphoria and equity and inequity and all this other shit. I will find you. I will find you. And that's not a threat. That's a promise. It's a promise.
Yeah.
Well, I was
Yeah.
molested when I was a kid. I'll be damned if I let that happen to somebody else.
And the damage that you're doing to the minds of kids at this age. I mean, dude, when I was growing up, the worst thing I had to worry about was a black eye. And
Yeah.
now parents, I'm old enough to where I got grandkids, and my kids are worrying about whether their kids are even going to come fucking home. You know,
Yep.
and it has changed, man.
Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
And it's like every gender, the things they have to deal with. The best way I put it, and I seen this on TikTok, somebody he said, man, I thought it was hard when I was growing up. I got taught the birds and the bees. He said, now as a parent, I got to teach about the birds, the bees that want to be birds, the birds that want to be bees,
Then the unicorns.
The bees that think they're birds but still have a stinger.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I don't like if you like whatever happened. Like I don't know. Like we went from you're crazy to it's okay, we're gonna accept crazy.
Yeah.
But then we're gonna have these serial killers that are running around killing people because we accept them.
And we're going to blame the gun.
Yep. Because fucking inanimate objects kill people. Fucking stupid people.
Isn't it funny? So the person that goes and shoots up a school, it's the gun's fault, not the person. But but the guy that's drinking and driving that kills somebody, it's not the car's fault. It's the drinking and driving driver.
Fucking spoon don't make you obese, bro. Just saying.
If they actually looked at the police department, all a car is a 9,000-pound weapon. So if you drive that car towards that cop, he is going to open fire on you because you
Facts.
have a weapon,
Facts.
you know? So what is
That's
the
exactly
fucking
right.
difference?
Nothing. Nothing. It's how it's spun. That's it. That's
Yeah.
all it is. It's all
It's
about how
how
it's
does it
spun.
fit in your agenda?
How's it fit in your pocket?
And
Well,
that is exactly what I try to preach. I try to get people, you've got to start thinking for yourself. And as a community, we have to come together and remind people to be accountable for their problems,
right.
to seek help, and to rely on your buddies to help get you there, not do it for you.
Let me put something in perspective real quick because, like, this is what cracks me up. Like, we are literally, again, if you don't think that we're already in a third world country, there's something fucking wrong with you.
Man, a
We
guy
literally
just said
had
that
our,
today.
we literally are living in a place where our 45th president was indicted before he was proven guilty.
Yeah, I was confused about that myself.
Indicted before he was proven guilty, and he
Yeah,
still hasn't been proven guilty.
no,
But you can I tell you, and everybody's like, well, I'm not necessarily a Trump fan. I'm not either. I don't really care that it's Trump, but let me tell you what Trump has done for us.
he's done
Trump
a lot of good
fixed
stuff.
he listen, you can go all the way back to freaking Washington. And all the way back to Washington, there's probably 5 people that have done what he has done for this country.
Yeah,
George Washington included.
yeah.
And, the rest of them were like, all right, whatever, dude. Like, you were there. That was cool. Like, you have Richard Nixon. What? What? Richard Nixon may or may not make freaking like, well, Joe Biden kind of makes Richard Nixon look like a saint, to be honest with you. But like and I'll be honest with you, the last freaking hero Democrat that I think was ever running this country was John F. Kennedy.
Yeah, I would agree.
Because he really loved this country. He believed in everything this country had. And you want to know what?
And he died for it.
He did. And I believe, I still, to be honest with you, I don't know. I don't know that Lee Harvey was the one that killed him.
So I heard a theory on this, and I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but I heard a theory on this, and I was listening to a podcast uh, about the ties between organized crime and the CIA, right? So, according to that theory, Lee Harvey Oswald did kill
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Kennedy.
He did, but he didn't kill him because he didn't like him.
No, he killed him because the mob was hired by the CIA
Right.
to kill him. And
It was
then,
manipulation. It was a manipulation of situations.
yep, and in return, they were going to get rid of Kennedy because Kennedy was just out there. They did favors for him, and then he started cracking down on organized
Yeah.
crime and
Yeah.
made life hell on him. And a
Yeah.
lot of people don't realize because he's known for the whole trying to bring the troops back and end the war. And a lot of people thought, hey, that's what he was killed for, is because of the war machine.
Nope.
Well, the reality was partially that, but it was in that theory. I don't necessarily know if it's true or not, but
Sure. Sure.
that theory was that the mafia had him killed, and then they took and hired another guy that was had ties to the mafia to
Right.
kill Oswald
Correct.
and end all the loose connections.
Correct.
You know, and if you go back and you look at all those, they had no political ties,
Correct.
but they did have organized crime from a distance. They had uncles and brothers and so forth that was
And
tied
those were
into it.
all tied into the same box.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, like I said,
Comes
like,
down to power and money.
yep. And then, Jimmy Carter, like, what the fuck did Jimmy Carter do for us but put us in debt? Like, whatever. But, like, anyway, long story short, in my mind, people are like, I don't necessarily, well, I wasn't ever really a Donald Trump fan. Well, I'm not necessarily a Donald Trump fan either. But then you also hear, well, that's not very presidential talking shit on Twitter, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know what you know about being presidential is
Yeah.
because I don't know that you've ever sat in a White House or in the chair. So whatever you think is presidential is probably not as presidential as you think it is. And there's probably somebody who has probably wiped some shit that somebody else said before it ever got out.
So my question is this. If you look down and you tell your intern, hey, you got a little bit on your chin, you might want to get that before we walk out of the bathroom.
Uh-huh.
How presidential is that?
Right.
I
Right.
would I would not want to take a black light into the fucking Oval
No,
Office.
sir. No, sir. No, sir. Or the bathroom outside of it. There's no fucking way.
Absolutely not.
Not only that, but like when you hear about fucking, Bill Clinton put a cigar in her vagina. Like, are you like seriously, bro?
Yeah.
Like, cool. Like, I'd put mine in brandy, but like not the girl brandy, the drink. Like whatever. But my point is that Donald Trump, people don't like him, but you know what he's doing right now? He's being held accountable. He's holding himself accountable for the things that they are literally trying to pin on him.
Yeah.
He didn't have to leave Largo and freaking go to freaking New York. He didn't have to.
Right.
Like he could have been like, you know what, fuck you guys. I'm a billionaire. I can go to fucking Kabul or
Yep.
whatever. But he got in a freaking plane and he flew to New York and he got out of his freaking tower this morning and he went to the courthouse.
Yep.
And they still couldn't fucking pin shit for him.
And here's the funny part. I don't even respond. I used to do it just out of boredom and just to watch people get fucking all hyped up. But if you read the comments, it shows you how little people
People
know
really know.
about our
People really know.
jurisdiction. You
People
know,
really right. Absolutely. Absolutely. But all that aside, like and again, this is not me being a freaking Trump lover.
no, I consider myself politically homeless. That's what I
Yeah,
consider
I
myself.
don't. Yeah, I don't give a fuck. But at the end of the day, what bothers me is my Constitution being fucked with, my Bill of Rights being fucked with, which both are being fucked with currently
Yep.
and have been for the last 3 years, 2.5, almost 3 years now. Yeah. Wow. Elon Musk just showed how freaking freedom of speech has been so under freaking fire.
Well, the funny part is, you would think we would know this already, because if you go all the way back, and if you watch, it's a YouTube series called "The Men That Made America,"
Yep.
and if you watch that, you learn real quick, all the way back then, that the press was bought. They
Oh yeah,
were they were posting lies
absolutely.
about how electricity is dangerous and how oil is dangerous, and it was all
Oh,
about.
dude, I saw that. That was listen. Oh yeah, dude. Like, oh, absolutely, absolutely. Henry Ford and all these people did all. They had all of that shit fucking
Yep,
put into. Absolutely, dude.
it's
Now it's
happening
just
again.
yes, absolutely. It's just like this right here, right? People think that this makes me some fucking sort of weird secret weirdo, right? Like I'm a master mason. Oh my god, you're the Illuminati, fucking. You know what? No, let me tell you something.
I got a buddy that's a Mason too.
Yeah, well, they're like, oh, you're a secret society. No, we're not. You know we exist because we're in freaking every corner of your little fucking town.
And
We're
there's
not
a
secret.
and
We're
it's
not.
so secret that the majority of them put the symbol in the back window of their car.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
super
because
secret.
we're hiding from everybody. And at the end of the day, like our mottos are, we take good men and make them better. And everything that we do is founded in the Bible.
The
Like, like it started, and so we're a society with secrets because we don't want everybody in our fucking band. We're literally the oldest fraternity in the world.
yeah,
And then you have these people who are like, oh, I'm a Knights Templar. You ain't a Knights Templar unless you're a Freemason, stupid. Because that's the only way you can become a Knights Templar.